Everyone hates this slab, apparently. It's been for sale at every single slab sale since our very first one, and still no one's bought it. I think it's really beautiful though, and it's a really old mulberry tree from a historic property. So today I'm just going to take matters into my own hands and turn this into a coffee table. So with a slab like this, you're going to have like cracks and stuff that need to get filled. So I'm starting by taping off the bottom side of this. Any spot that looks like the resin that we're going to fill the top with might run through to. The sticky side of painter's tape doesn't adhere to hardened resin, so it works great for this. And then I can flip this over and get working on the top of this. This is a mulberry slab that we salvaged a couple years ago at this point and milled. And at the time that we milled it, we didn't even know what mulberry wood looked like. So it was really exciting to crack into it and see the vibrant color. Red is upset about this step because she had to go in her pen for this part because she's not allowed near wet resin anytime soon. She's still in training as a shop dog. She's doing great, but no wet resin still. And this first step is just a tackier, slightly faster hardening resin to fill in any cracks and grooves. This is also going to end up going over all the bark. I love the bark on this slab. I think it's part of what makes it so striking, but bark left to its own devices on a live edge slab like this is going to fall off eventually. So it's just getting flooded with this epoxy. So that's going to include the seam between the bark and the wood itself, and then I'm also just making sure the bark is completely encased. And now I'm hitting it with a flame to pop any bubbles so we get a nice crystal clear end results. And we're doing the same process to this bark inclusion on the top of the slab. This is my favorite part of this whole slab. The colors are subtle when the wood is dry, but the epoxy gives a little sneak peek to what the colors are going to be like when it's done. And there's just so much vibrancy to it. And I think it looks so cool. It looks scorched by fire or something. And I love it. That first stage of epoxy is going to harden relatively quickly, and once it's tacky, I can mix up this next epoxy pour. This is an epoxy that can handle a thicker pour. It has a runnier consistency, and I'm going to go ahead and fill the larger voids with this. Part of the point of doing the first layer of the thicker epoxy is that it'll plug up any tiny holes in the slab so that this pour that I'm doing now doesn't end up all over the floor. I gave it like 4 days to harden all the way, which is probably a little more than it needed, but there it is. It's set. Then now we're going to sand this. This slab was actually already planed before I even touched it, so yeah, I just have to sand it from here. I'm starting with an 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to be working up to a 220 grit sandpaper. And the key to getting a buttery finish on this mulberry is moistening the slab and then letting it dry in between every grit of sandpaper that I use. Let's go! For finish, I'm going with a hard wax oil floor finish. I love this as a table finish over slabs because it gives the slabs a soft, natural feel to them. Like, it's not too glossy or varnishy. You don't see brush strokes in it, but it's still really durable because it's a floor finish. But no reason why that can't also be a table finish. This is going to end up getting a few coats of this. The process is just to drench the slab in the finish, and then I wipe it down with a bone dry cloth, let it set, which only takes about 15 minutes between coats, and then do another coat until I like how it looks. I am so in love with the color of this slab. I don't even know what color to call it to do it a justice because yellow doesn't fully capture it. It's like yellow and orange and fire. It's so beautiful. I love the shape of the inclusion too, and the shape of the whole slab itself. So there's just generally enough going on this that I think simple hairpin legs is going to be the way to go. And I'm just gonna, they're really easy to install too. So I just need to drill a pilot hole down into the slab and then screw them in by hand. And the tape on the drill is an old trick, but a goodie, where I just tape off the thickness of the slab on my drill bit itself so that I know I won't accidentally drill all the way through. And then these just screw in by hand with a screwdriver. And I did this off camera, but I just sketched with pencil directly onto my slab through the hairpin leg itself, exactly where each of those pilot holes went. And here it is. You can really see the color in the sunlight. It really brings out the orange. I can't believe this slab sat for so long, but I'm so happy I was able to turn this chunk of an old salvaged tree into a beautiful piece of furniture. Red the shop dog agrees.